The story so far. The New York Times wants your private chats. Specifically, anything you might have told ChatGPT anytime ever. They even tried to make OpenAI preserve your deleted chats and turn those over, but they lost that one at least. But of the remaining chats, they want to make OpenAI turn over 20 million of them. Supposedly they've been de-identified, but regular listeners know how little that helps. And keep in mind, this is the news media, not just the New York Times, but The Guardian, The Atlantic, Raw Story, and over a dozen others. Imagine those muckraking yellow journalists getting all of the personal information you've put in, even private thoughts you put in for therapeutic reasons or even just for fun, so they can troll through it. The main culprit here is Magistrate Judge Ona T, Wang, who refused to see sense and kowtowed to basically everything the news media wanted. Except for the deleted ones, that was a road too far even for her, but that's a pretty extreme limit. So now, they're taking it up to presiding Judge Sidney Stein. In their 31-page memo, they lay out, as clearly as anyone could possibly want, that this is a sideshow that should never have been allowed in the first place. Plaintiffs have had more than satisfactory discovery, but impermissibly want more, inexplicably claiming that their analysis just wouldn't have a sufficient sample size unless it's at least 20 million. That should make any statistician listening bark out loud with laughter. But of course, we know what it really is. Not a statistical analysis, but cherry picking. So they can pick out a handful of outputs that just so happen to make their case that they can then pretend is typical. There's just no other reason for wanting that much. Especially when you figure that even the plaintiff's experts have said that only 0.001 to 0.006% of ChatGPT conversations are relevant. As for Judge Wang, she refused to allow a stay so that Judge Stein can properly review the briefs he requested and issue his final decision. Yes, she wants to force them to go ahead and start handing over your private chats. So they issued another memo to Judge Stein saying, quote, all parties agree that the 20 million conversations at issue include a massive amount of inherently private, sensitive, confidential, proprietary, and even privileged information belonging to ChatGPT users who have no role or stake in this case and no opportunity to object to the disclosure of this information in these proceedings. But as a result of those orders, OpenAI will soon be forced to hand over this information to plaintiffs and their experts, which would amount to one of the largest transfers of private personal information ever ordered by a United States District Court. The scale of this disclosure is irreconcilable with Rule 26's critical proportionality requirement. This court should intervene immediately to stop it. As for the claim that the chats will be de-identified, quote, that was factually wrong. As OpenAI has explained in 2 unrebutted sworn witness declarations, the de-identification process is not designed to remove information that is private but non-identifying, i.e., the exact kind of information that the court below held was immune from disclosure when denying OpenAI's motion to compel the Times to produce its own chat logs. Oh yeah, if you missed that, they caught the New York Times using ChatGPT for accounting and journalism purposes. But Judge Wang mysteriously said that this information was too private and just couldn't be turned over. Quote, put simply, just removing names, contact information, and numeric identifiers from a record in which a user also discusses details of their finances, immigration status, trading strategies, or investigative journalism does not mean that the record is no longer private, sensitive, confidential, or privileged. None of the court's orders explain why the disclosure of this type of private information should be immune from discovery when it was generated by the Times in its own chat logs using OpenAI's models, but not when it was generated by innocent non-parties with no role, stake, or voice in these proceedings. And OpenAI has a much better method for doing so, which Judge Wang ignored. Quote, over a month ago, OpenAI advanced a detailed proposal under which the parties would use techniques that they have used for months in other areas of this case to accomplish each and every one of plaintiffs' user data-related discovery goals. The parties can conduct whatever analyses they need through non-content metadata like classifiers, which would not require the unnecessary disclosure of the private information in those conversation logs. That proposal balances the needs of the case with the privacy interests of OpenAI's users. None of the orders even acknowledge that proposal, and news plaintiffs have never contended that the proposal is unworkable or insufficient to meet the needs of this case. By ignoring that more reasonable alternative and instead ordering the production of all 20 million records, notwithstanding their undisputed lack of specific, particularized relevance to the claims and defenses in this action, the court below committed clear error. This court should intervene to safeguard the privacy of OpenAI's users. Good to know somebody is out there defending our privacy. It's not the news media. It'll never be the news media.